Good afternoon. On behalf of the City of McKeesport, for those that don't know who I am, I'm Mayor Michael Cherepko, and it is truly an unbelievable privilege. It's an honor and a privilege to be here to speak on behalf of the City of McKeesport, representing McKeesport, and talk about this exciting day that we have today. You know, it wasn't long ago, it's amazing how fast time goes, but the Daily News back in the end of 2015 when this building closed, and the Daily News ended the publishing after a very, very long time of being such an intricate part of our community. Senator Brewster at the time and I talked frequently as well about the opportunity of getting the Daily News open again, getting a paper back in here, whatever it may be, whatever the case may be at the time. And, you know, we knew that someday we would be here doing this. We believed that. But all too often, things are pretty complicated when you have so many different parties involved. Events like this don't always take place. I will say, through the persistence and the dedication the Senator had, along with myself in the planning stages, we were able to reach out. How this happened, let's be very clear. To Jennifer Bertetta, CEO of the Trib Media, and it was their unbelievable generosity that made this happen. The city really wasn't in a position to purchase a building as much as we wanted to see it open. But when we sat down with Jennifer, and it was such a privilege to see someone that realized the importance of the Daily News Building here in the city of McKeesport. And it came to the point where, through their generosity, we were able to purchase this building for the price of a whopping $1. So please give a round of applause for the Trib and Jennifer. When we talk about McKeesport, it's no secret that since the collapse of the steel industry, not just here in McKeesport, but for the whole valley for that matter, it's been a spiral downhill for many years. I will tell you that it was years ago that we hit that bottom point. We hit the rock bottom. We have that foundation, and we are building. And you may see somewhere around here the McKeesport Rising project that we kicked off last year. We're very excited about that with a lot of the things that are going on in the city, whether it's the demolition of blight that we know hinders our city, attracts crime with 300 to 400 structures coming down, infrastructure improvements that were much needed and neglected for years, and business development. And we have development right now coming in all different parts of town. The Christie Park quarter of town with Aldi's and O'Reilly's and Aldi's Bargain Outlet and others that are set to come at that end. We have development on East 5th Avenue that's happening. RIDC, we're going to be out with a big announcement and just hopefully within the next 30 days. Dorabon, which you can see right over there, and them reopening up the old U.S. Steel site with 100 to 200 jobs. We have development happening up and down this Walnut Street with businesses, construction, welding companies, HVAC person interested, an electrician interested, purchasing vacant land and opening up businesses. The one part of town that we're here about today is right here in this particular part of the town. With the opening of this and bringing in the District Attorney Steve Sapella and what his service center for the Mon Valley means, we have representatives throughout this entire Mon Valley that are in this room today. We know what it is to be in the valley. We know the struggles that we face, each and every one of us. We all know we need to work together to see the valley be what it can be. And servicing 30 plus communities through the police services and what District Attorney Steve Sabella, and let me tell you, Mr. Sabella has been an extremely good friend of the city, supportive of the city of McKeesport for our police services and the whole valley for that matter. And I think this just is a sample and extends beyond and elaborates on what I'm trying to say as far as his commitment to the valley. But I think what you see here, and we look right across the street, we have the People's Building, which is 8 stories, been vacant for probably 15 years, 12 to 15 years. I will tell you that very soon that's going to be into the hands of the Redevelopment Authority, and that will be into the hands of the developer as well. We have someone very interested. The old Murphy's Building, which is 2 doors down, same thing. We have a developer that already owns that, looking to bring something in. The Sam's Hot Dogs, we have someone trying to purchase that as well. And right next to us, you see a very large parking garage that has been vacant for quite some time. Through the multimodal funding, the help of Senator Brewster in the state, and Representative Austin Davis, as well as our state representative, we're fortunate to get $2.9 million grant that's going to help redirect the trail down around the point rather than right behind this building. Also renovate this parking garage, and you might see some of the printouts that you see around here when we have a time afterwards. We're talking about possibly connecting the parking garage to the building as well. But when you start talking this particular end of town in these buildings, and we're a block from the Penn McKee, you're 2 blocks from the Marina and the Palisades. We have a development that's ready to come in across the street from the Palisades. A nice business that's going to attract people from all throughout the valley. Pure Pen, medicinal cannabis, one of 12 facilities to open up was right here in the city of McKeesport. They're probably 400 yards away that way. So between all of these things happening right here in the area, I also see the potential for those from the Mon Valley, as our district attorney is here to help with the police departments throughout this valley. Wouldn't it be nice if potentially having some county services right in this very room that we're standing in? Now, that's things that have been talked about. There's nothing concrete about that, but I know it's an inconvenience not just for McKeesporters, but just as much as it is for many of you throughout the valley. Many of us going into Pittsburgh, and whether it's simple things for your constituents and the residents, whether it's a dog tag or a marriage license or to file a deed or to apply for a gun permit, whatever it may be, it would be nice that even on a temporary basis that we may get to the point where we have those services offered right here. So there's a lot of potential in this area. We have a long lineup of speakers today, people that have been very instrumental in being here this day. So I could go on forever, and I definitely, we're not here to do that. So we're going to try to keep this as fluently as possible. And we do have some individuals from the audience that I do want to recognize as well. And if your name's not on here, it's just someone that we missed early on. But I'll do that in between speakers. And Jessica Walls-Lavelle, the Governor's Regional Director. I know Representative Bill Courts was with us, Representative Austin Davis as well, Dawn Smith from RIDC, Rob Hammond, who's General Manager here of the Daily News, and now an employee of the Mon Valley Independent, which we're going to hear from the Mon Valley Independent as well throughout today, and the presence that they're going to have in here, along with Jason Tozier from Tube City, but we'll talk about those a little bit as things go on. And we also have the new president, UPMC President McKeesport, and he's with us as well, Mark O'Hearn. And we have others out here as well that I'll continue to mention throughout. But at this time, make no mistake, this doesn't happen without Senator Jim Brewster. Senator Brewster is not just someone that's committed. This isn't a McKeesport thing, folks. Let's be very real. This is about all the communities that he represents throughout the valley. Because having this Daily News Building open, having the district attorney in here servicing the police departments of 30 plus communities, this is just truly looking out for people here in the valley. So without any further ado at this time, I want to turn it over to Senator James Brewster.
Thank you. Just a couple of housekeeping things. The brace. The mayor and I were arguing about who was going to pay the dollar for the building. All I can tell you is I got the brace, he paid the dollar. Hey, big guy? All right, so since the mayor has taken most of our speeches, which he often does, we want to thank him for that. But I'm going to try to make a couple quick points, because we do have a number of people. But I'm going to start by saying this. If you're here today, in our minds, you played a role in what we're doing. So you're not here by accident. You're here because you represent people, communities that we know will benefit. And I want to start off by saying, if you're a mayor, you're a council person, or a commissioner, raise your hand. Okay, that's our local government, folks. That's where it all begins. And we don't ever want to forget the fact that local government is important to the people we represent. Not that the people up here aren't, not that the president isn't, or the governor, but it all starts at the ball games, the funeral homes, the supermarkets, right, Ina? That's where you know what people are thinking. That's the first step. Second step is to create relationships with your county, state, and federal. And I want to say this, Mayor. Mike Doyle is not here. Mike Doyle is very important to us. And I don't know if there's anyone from his office here or not. If you're here, raise your hand. Once you create those relationships, then you have to get ideas. The event we're having today is not new. The concept's being done in New Kensington and Old Borough, Duquesne, Braddock, Clairton, West Mifflin, Monroeville. Every community in my district that I know of has a plan similar to this. Different in substance, different in services, but not different in concept. Concept meaning people first, local government, and creating a relationship with the folks that we report to. Sounds simple. Now, why are we here today? As you all know, we had a wonderful relationship with Mr. Scaife. It's wonderful to our city and to the Mon Valley. This is a Mon Valley initiative. It isn't just McKeesport. This building will service at least 30 different communities. Most of you are here. Services that your constituents need. But it took a couple of specific people to make it happen. And you need to know the answer. So when Mr. Scaife passed, little did I know that Jennifer Potato would be the new CEO and run the entire Cherepko media. And I didn't know her. And of course, Mike and I, we always make each other feel important. That's what mayors do. And I said, well, I think she needs to meet us. It really wasn't the truth. We needed to meet her. So we called her up, and she was gracious enough to come to our office. And we talked about this building. And right away, I knew the chemistry was right because they didn't want to tear it down. We couldn't afford to buy it, but we knew what it meant to the Mon Valley. And so I made a crazy suggestion about, well, would your board consider donating it? Not knowing the answer would be yes. The answer was yes. And on top of that, she's been gracious enough to give us thousands of dollars of furniture to help with the building. And when we're done here, you can take a tour of the first 2 floors and you'll see what the building looks like today. So she was integral. The second thing I needed was a local elected official with a vision and the courage to take the risk on behalf of not just McKeesport, but all of our neighboring communities. That's where Mayor Cherepko comes in. And we're not just friends, but we work together. He understands the business side. He has a passion for the Mon Valley, not just McKeesport. That was the second equation. And then we needed an anchor tenant. And that was an easier one. District Attorney Zappel and I have been trying to get services in the Mon Valley for probably a dozen years, Steve. And I'll let Steve talk about that. We talked about a mini courthouse so that our folks don't have to travel into Pittsburgh. Our police departments can come here and save money, put that money back into your communities, and be a catchment area for the services that are required. So I called Steve up, and obviously he was more than happy, and you're going to see his area to my right. And by way of logistical, Steve Zappel is the district attorney being to my right on the first floor. Above him on the second floor will be Point Park College, which you're going to hear from Andy Conti. And I won't steal his thunder as the mayor stole mine. So we'll let that go. And I don't want to say too much because I don't want to take away from the speakers, but one of the things we talked about is, can we get a newspaper back in the Mon Valley to service all of our communities? So if mayors need somebody to come over to your meetings or come to an event or a ribbon cutting, we think we're close, but I'm going to let that speaker talk about that. But the point being is, we had Jennifer, the mayor, and Steve Zappel. That was the nucleus of how we've grown this thing. And I call it an economic perfect storm. And I won't repeat what the mayor said, but if you look 1,000 yards that way or that way, you just have history in your valley. The medical marijuana plant, only 25 growers in the state of Pennsylvania. One of them is in the Mon Valley, in your backyard, selling a product that's better than any out there. I'll just say that. Is Gabe here? Oh, okay, thank you. And I mean that. I mean, they take their job serious, and they recognize all of you. And that's the other thing. And I'm just going to close by saying this. You hear this on the news every day, no matter who's talking. We have an opportunity to use this project, as I said, like the ones going on in Braddock and other communities, as the benchmark for what other communities will be judged on. We're going to get people out of poverty. We're going to reward the middle class and make sure they don't drift into poverty. We're going to welcome small businesses. We're going to welcome light industrial, and we're going to protect our environment at the same time. And you're going to do it. You're already doing it. Give yourself a round of applause. With that, Mayor, if you don't mind, you want to introduce the next speaker? Thank you. There's a lot of food. We're going to move through this quickly. Enjoy yourself.
I'd be remiss if I didn't mention some of my council people as well, and the administration that's here as well. Thank you for all you do and help getting this building to where it needs to be at this time, and Stephen Public Works and Tom Ross, our electrician. But I have Councilman Souls with us, Councilman Tim Brown, Jamie Brewster Filote. I saw Jim Berry, City Councilman. I think I saw Rich Del Pena, Brian's work, and any other council person. Our County Councilman Bob Macy's with us as well. We thank you for being here. And I see fellow mayors out there. Mayor Sharday Jones of Braddock, Mayor Nicole Nesby, City of Duquesne, Mayor Barry Boucher, Elizabeth Borough, and Mayor Anna Martin for White Oak Borough. Thank you for being here, and this is, after all, for all of us and all of our communities. At this time, I have the distinct honor to introduce our Secretary of Community and Economic Development. He worked for the county for years as well, so many of us may be familiar with him. But at this time, I'm going to introduce Secretary Dennis Davin.
Thank you, Mayor, and I'll be brief. First of all, I appreciate the opportunity to be here on behalf of Governor Tom Wolf. This is great. I just spent about 2.5 hours with the mayor on a tour of McKeesport. I'm very familiar with McKeesport. When I was with the Allegheny County Economic Development in my previous stint. But I got to tell you, I get a chance to tour a lot of areas, a lot of cities and towns throughout the state of Pennsylvania, from Philadelphia to Pittsburgh, Erie, Allentown, and everywhere in between. The places that really do well and the places that have a lot going for them are the places that have somebody like this guy right here. You know, somebody with the energy that he has. Things are going to happen because of that energy. So when you pit him, and then you also have Senator Brewster and all the other Senator Costa, Representative Austin Davis, Representative Courts, and everybody else that's really working to make things happen here, things are going to happen. We had a chance to take a look at some really significant projects that they're interested in, and interested in having us fund them. And that's really what it takes to really have that passion coming to us and asking for money. I can't think of how many times I said, just ask us, you know, tell us what you need, tell us what's important to you. So they're doing that. They're going to be successful. There are going to be some great things that are happening. There are some great things that are happening in McKeesport right now, and great things that are going to happen. So I look forward to continue to work with them. And I can't thank Trib Total Media enough to be a great partner with McKeesport and all of Allegheny County and southwestern Pennsylvania. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
I also see our Mayor, Brian Horanis at Port View with us as well. Jason Norris from Dorabon is out there. Catherine Kellerman, Port Authority Director, and our Treasurer, John Weinstein. If he's not here, I know he's supposed to be here, and he will be here. Once again, at this time, our next speaker to keep the program moving, we've already said it, the generosity of the Trib Total Media. Jennifer is the CEO, and yes, she has a board to answer to, but let's be real. From the beginning, she was on board with this project. We can't thank her enough, and thank the Trib for their generosity. So at this time, I have the opportunity to introduce Jennifer Portetto, the President and Chief Executive Officer of Trib Total Media.
Hi, I'm honored to be here with all of you this afternoon to celebrate the grand opening of Tube City Center. If you're in the newspaper business, you are drawn to this business with a great sense of purpose. The purpose is to serve the communities and tell the stories within each community. That is why December 31st of 2015 was a very difficult day for me. After an unsuccessful attempt to sell the Daily News and facing increasing financial pressures, we were forced to close the doors of this building. And it was an incredible loss to my company, our employees, but most of all to the great city of McKeesport. McKeesport meant everything to Richard Mellonscape, our late publisher. After our acquisition in 2007, he became very active in the community with then Mayor Brewster and various organizations and projects. When Senator Brewster came to me to discuss the donation of this building to the city's redevelopment authority, and we discussed all the ways that the building could be used to create a stronger community, I knew it was exactly what Mr. Scaife would have wanted me to do. Trib Total Media is proud to play a small role in today's community-wide effort to bring together commerce, media, and opportunity in this city. It is my sincere hope that with so many media entities residing within this refreshed Daily News building, we will find a way to truly collaborate to develop a new way forward for daily news coverage in this great city. Congratulations, Senator Brewster, for making your vision a reality and for pushing this project forward over the last 3 years. I know Mr. Scaife would be incredibly proud and thankful for your efforts.
Stu Wilson from our McKeesport Redevelopment Authority with us here as well. And of course, they take care of the real estate. And AJ Tedesco, Community Development Director, City of McKeesport, but also is the Director of the Redevelopment Authority. Gabe Perlow, CEO of Pure Pen, is with us. Mary Ann Geyer, Point Park. Kristen DeLuca, Point Park. Mari Bargman with the Chamber. And Lance Shimka, Director, Allegheny County Economic Development. And of course, Jonna Pro, who's our Southwest Regional Director of DCED. Welcome, Jonna, as well. We thank you for all you do. This time, we're going to move past. I think Mr. Fitzgerald's on his way. So this time, I have the distinct honor. I can tell you, it's my first time here in the city of McKeesport, and to introduce with us, to my right, to your left, the Second Lady of Pennsylvania, Giselle Fetterman.
My first job was to not fall off the stage. So far, we're good. She was ready to catch me if I did. I'm really honored to be here as your second lady, but most importantly as a resident of the Valley. And in the Valley, we're used to celebrating small wins, but here we're celebrating a really big one. And we'll continue to show in Pennsylvania what we're doing in the Valley and how we can continue to be an example and be creative. And this is what happens when you have leaders like this that are coming together and believe in projects like this and move forward with them. So I'm really honored to be here in your great city, and I can't wait to cut that ribbon.
Thank you. At this time, Senator Brewster, who's constantly working through the Senate for all of his communities in the Valley, we know that, of course, he has someone to go to with a lot of these things other than the governor's office as well. And, Senator Costa is without question no stranger to the Valley. You see him throughout different events all the time. And it's an honor and a privilege to have him here with us today. So with that, I want to introduce you to our Senate Democratic leader, Senator Jay Costa.
Thank you very much, Mayor. And let me say it's really an honor and a privilege to be able to come here and say a few words about this really important day for McKeesport, for the Mon Valley. My hat is off to my friend and my colleague, Senator Jim Brewster. Folks, I can't tell you how many times he told us he was going to reopen this building. Back in 2015, shortly thereafter, he was going to work on it, and he got it done. And there's more work that needs to be done. I will tell you, when you think of leaders, you think of folks that have vision, and you think of folks who have an understanding about how to get things done, how to build relationships, and how to communicate to men and women in different levels of government. And that's exactly what Jim has done. He set out a vision for this facility, and he knew how important it was that there be activity here, particularly given this location, the entry, in many respects, from different parts of the community into the McKeesport community. And he's done an outstanding job of bringing people together. When you look at the roster of people who are speaking here today, when you think about Point Park University, who would have thought that Point Park University would have a place here, a presence in downtown Pittsburgh, now have a presence in the Mon Valley. It's a man, it's a leader who has vision to be able to say, that's a group we're going after because we need and we understand we have to communicate with people in our community. The newspaper is going to be a part of this conversation going forward. Again, understanding the history that's here and the significance of delivering information to the residents in the Mon Valley community. It was Jim Brewster had the vision to say, listen, these are who we need to bring here, and these are the people we want to talk with. And certainly my hat's off to Jennifer and the Trip Total Media. I know that for many years Jim was telling me the relationship that he had with Mr. Scape, and I don't think a lot of people knew about that. The investments that he made, not only in the facility here or in the building or the paper, but investments he made in McKeesport to support the community and support Jim when he was mayor here. Those are the type of things that folks don't realize and understand, but he knew how important they were and how important he felt the relationship to be able to work together and be able to work with local officials, whether it be the state and county folks or myself in our in the General Assembly. And finally, to District Attorney Steve Sapala, recognizing the need for a number of years, Steve has been working to be able to bring services to this Mon Valley community. And there's more that can be done at the county level that I think we have to talk about. And hopefully Rich Fitzgerald will talk about that as we go forward, because these are the type of things that bring communities, make communities stronger when you have activity and people have a purpose to want to come and spend time there. So goes McKeesport in many respects, so goes the Mon Valley. And that's why it's important to be here along those lines. The resources and the tenacity that Jim went to try to garner the resources to make this happen. He was like a bulldog on a bone. He wouldn't let up, he wouldn't stop, and he was successful because he made the case of how important this was. So I'm really thrilled to be here. I want to really congratulate and thank my friend for the work he's doing. So thank you all for allowing me to speak here today. Jim, congratulations, and we know you're going to continue to do outstanding work.
Those were the names that I've had written down, but I do see Brian from West Mifflin, business manager. I see Sam and George Thompson, North for Sales, and some others as well. Thank you for coming out. Obviously, as we said, this is for all of us. The next individual, his commitment to stabilizing, fighting crime, reducing crime, not just through all of Allegheny County, but here in the Mon Valley. To me, I can tell you, as Mayor of McKeesport, I can't thank you enough for your commitment. I think you're going to get to see, after we have the ribbon cutting, some of the things that are going on in the district attorney's office, whether it's the virtual checkpoints, which is the camera system that's tied in, not just whether you have cameras in your community, but tied in through the cameras throughout all the county, and the way that these officers are utilizing this equipment to solve crimes, to also do things more safely, to try to, whether it's high-speed chases and things that they can avoid, so that we don't have any tragedies. I can't thank you enough, Mr. Zappella, for your commitment to this valley, to this service center that's going to service 30-plus communities here in the valley. And at this time, I just have the opportunity and privilege to introduce our District Attorney of Allegheny County, Stephen Zappella. There's a white Kia blocking a car out there if you have a white Kia.
Mike, thank you for your kind words. I don't think I was mistaken. I think I heard our senator comment on the quality of the marijuana that's being manufactured in the morning. All right, I just want to be clear on that. There are detectives here. There are detectives here too. Ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. Mike, thank you for your kind words. Thank you for not giving up on the Mon Valley. Thank you to Trip Total Media for being so generous. Ladies and gentlemen, this is a service center that's going to service 31 communities in the Mon Valley. Having grown up in Swissville, it's a no-brainer to invest in the good people that live and work here and raise families here. We previously committed to doing something in Homestead. I had the pleasure of being counsel to Homestead Borough Council when the deal was put together for the waterfront. And I thought it was important to have a police presence in and out of that area on a regular basis to make sure that that investment was protected. And I think just last year, or maybe over the last couple of years, the increment financing that was put into place to make that work also has expired, and so the people of West Homestead, of Munhall, and Homestead are now starting to realize the upside of the transaction. Part of the success that we've had, and certainly part of the success we had up in Homestead, was the use of virtual technologies. And both the mayor and the senator made reference to it. And I want to show you guys this because we didn't do this lightly. And we had our friends in the media on a regular basis talk to the public about whether or not they were offended by putting virtual presence, virtual technologies in public ways. Everywhere we've gone, we've had this discussion. Every time we've asked the community about this, if it makes me safer, then I'm okay with that. And everywhere we put this, when you're talking about Monroeville, you're talking about the South Side, you're talking about Central Oakland, the crime rate has dropped, and you stabilized some of the bad things that are going on in the community. For the last several months, we've had teams working down here, trying to get a much better handle about what needs to be brought to bear. You have some excellent police officers. Unfortunately, some of the economic issues with some of the communities makes it very difficult to invest in your policing side. Well, we're going to invest in the policing side. And we've already trained 16 police officers on the use of the virtual technologies. And we're going to tie property crimes and burglaries and smash and grabs and those types of things. We're going to tie that back to trying to pawn those types of items, whether they be in Monroeville or any other place in this county. We call it the Precious Metals Program, and I hope if you're here long enough, we can demonstrate that for you too. Drug agents were here, and they've been here for the last 5 months. I think a month and a half ago, I think it was, Mayor. Those guys, together with McKeesport and a couple other municipalities down here, including West Mifflin, made 72 arrests. 72 arrests, and you're talking about heroin. But it's not stopping with the drug trafficking, because they were dealing out certain bars. Now, those bars are on the nuisance bar task force list. I don't know that we don't have enough economic opportunity down here to do something drastic, but if we wanted to, we could close those bars because they facilitate drug trafficking. Also, the people that rent properties and sell drugs. There's acts called expedited eviction, drug nuisance, and criminal nuisance. Well, we're going to work with the city solicitor here in McKeesport and any other municipality that wants to work with us. And if you're a renter and you're selling drugs out of your residence, then you're not going to be there long. You'll be out of there in 30 days. This space is going to be used to coordinate training. As I said before, we've already trained 16 police officers. I think you'll like the way it's set up. Every training spot is computerized. We're going to have a connection back to investigations in Homestead. So whatever assets we don't have down here, they will be made readily available to any police department or any municipal official that needs or wants to talk about their community in terms of policing. Also, what we're going to do is we're going to ensure that when somebody's brought before a magistrate down here, that if it's an indictable offense, but it's a lower level type of crime, like a misdemeanor 2 or 3, I don't want to bore you guys with all the facts, but felony 1 is murder. Felony 1, 2, 3, misdemeanor 1, 2, 3. DUI is a misdemeanor of the first level. The lower level misdemeanors, people are not going to go to jail because they can't afford bail. They will not go to jail. We're going to proceed by summons on a lot of those cases so that they have 20 days, and if there's before a process is served. And if they have an issue in their life, like drug addiction or mental health or something like that, then we're going to work with the defense bar and the public defender's office. And I know Mr. Davis and I have already had this discussion so that somebody can intervene on their behalf so that we don't compound the tragedy of coming into the criminal justice system. So we're going to do that. We couldn't do this without everybody in the room, and when you guys stand together, you're very strong. There is absolutely no doubt. And some of the people that I have the privilege of sharing the dais this morning, they are truly leaders, and they care. And I've been impressed with that, and as I said at the beginning of my comments, having guys like Mike, having guys like the senator, we're really well served. So thank you for being here this morning.
Someone has that white Kia. Looks like they might be parked closer to the roadway in the center. There's someone that's trying to get to a doctor's appointment that's blocked in.
It's in Carver.
What is it?
It's in Carver.
Vincent Caldwell. That's a random place.
I was going to say, that's embarrassing. It's a Vincent Caldwell's going to admit to it now.
Don't kill the messenger. Three more speakers here, and we're going to move on to ribbon cutting. We're trying to do so as quickly as possible. We mentioned, obviously, it's no secret here in the city of McKeesport, we have Penn State University that has a campus in McKeesport. This is my administration. I can tell you we've worked with the Duquesne University and their law students on different projects, and we're extremely proud to welcome Point Park University. It's going to have a presence right in this building and part of their Center for Media Innovation. So at this time, and we're looking for Point Park to really collaborate with Jason Tozier and the Tube City Online and the Mon Valley Independent, and the three of them doing some really unique things and working together as much as they can as far as the media here in McKeesport and throughout the valley. So at this time, I would like to introduce you Andy Conti for the Center for Media Innovation from Point Park University.
I want to congratulate the people of McKeesport for making this possible, especially Mayor Cherepko, Senator Brewster. We were here a little over a year ago. They were talking about this project, and it seemed like a dream at that time. And to be here today and see this building is really fantastic. So congratulations to both of you and to the whole city. You know, when the Daily News closed, it really felt like a big blow to this community. That voice was gone, and it seemed like, you know, what was going to happen? Who was going to tell the stories? And yet, over the past 3 years, so many exciting things have happened here with Jason Tozier and Tube City Online, of course, and the Mon Valley Independent, Zach Furness out at Penn State McKeesport, and of course Trip Total Media, which remains hugely dedicated to the Valley, continuing to do this work. We at Point Park want to be part of that. We want to help the people of McKeesport tell their story, tell these stories, and we've done a little bit of that already. I'm up here getting the attention on the stage, but I really want to take a moment to acknowledge our community partner. I want to acknowledge Keno Fitzpatrick. He's the founding director of YouthCast. It's an after-school program. He's back here. And the really big applause should go to the students who are here with Keno today. For the past year, these students have been going out and they've been telling the stories of McKeesport from their own perspective. They started out working out with Martha Lysle, who's a Pulitzer Prize winning photographer, and she... Martha's big time, but she dedicates herself to doing this work in the community, and so she worked with the students to go out and just start walking the streets of McKeesport. We did some photo safaris, and the whole point was to get the students to go out and get them to start talking with people on the street, stopping them, taking their photographs. They said, look, you've been telling us for years to their organizers saying, you tell us not to talk to strangers. Now you want us to go and talk to strangers? What are we supposed to do with this? But they really did a fantastic job with it, and so when they started out about a year ago, they were a little bit shy, a little bit reluctant to do that, and yet with the support of the Pittsburgh Foundation, we were able to get a grant to do a summer pilot program with YouthCast. We worked together. The students went around to playgrounds all over McKeesport and told the stories of their community and of their residents. They went out and interviewed people. They took photographs. They took time to interview State Representative Austin Davis, came in and spent an hour with them, and they asked him difficult questions about violence in school and abandoned buildings and litter and broken playground equipment. And that's what's so exciting about that, is this is the people of McKeesport, the students of McKeesport, young people raising up their own voices, asking important questions and telling those stories. And we at Point Park want to be a part of sharing that and helping make that possible. When we're done here today, I invite you to come upstairs to the second floor. There's a community newsroom upstairs. Jason's got a spot. Mon Valley Independent, they've got a presence up there. And the students of YouthCast, the photographs that they took, the images that they made with Martha are up on the walls up there. And I hope you can come up, take a moment to see the photographs and talk with the students and learn a little bit about what they've been doing. And then stay tuned for a lot more exciting things that we have to come. Thanks so much.
To continue with the program, and I think we'll just wrap it up with our county executive at the end. Thanks for coming, Rich. Appreciate it. But we're just going to move ahead in the order, and we're talking about the other media as well. The Mon Valley Independent has been a newspaper that's been circulating. They extended their stories and coverage into this end of the valley. They're looking to really have much more of a presence in the valley down here. So, we need to get the coverage, the good news out there, as well as the other news. But we're excited to have them. They will be operating on a temporary basis, at least right here in this room, for anyone that's looking for circulation and want to sign up for the newspaper. But at this opportunity, you'll see a lot of the employees and staff in here with their jackets on tonight, and we welcome them into town. We're excited, and at this time, I'm going to introduce you Nazareth Victoria from the Mon Valley Independent.
Hi. First off, I'd like to congratulate Senator Brewster, Mayor Cherepko, for the opening of this building, and thank them for bringing us back to McKeesport. The Mon Valley Independent wouldn't be in existence if it wasn't for Jennifer Potato and Total Trib Media. They helped us all the way through this. We were three businessmen that saw the Mon Valley Independent, well, actually it was the Valley Independent, go dark back in the end of 2016. 2016, we got together, and for some strange reason, we thought that we should bring the newspaper back. I can tell you it wasn't a profit motive. We felt that it was civic duty for us to bring the newspaper back, because if the people of the Mon Valley didn't have information about what is happening, their situation would be a little more bleak. After we opened up, Senator Brewster, Mayor Cherepko invited us to come to McKeesport. We sat down in Mayor Cherepko's office, and we talked about how can we bring the newspaper back to McKeesport. Well, a little more than 18 months go by, and these guys get it done. They open the Daily News Building, and starting tomorrow, we will have a presence in McKeesport full-time. So I guess our slogan is what matters here, what happens here matters here, and we're going to make sure that we take care of informing you of what matters, what happens here. Thank you.
The next individual, if you're from the Valley, he didn't really have anything in print circulating, but I will tell you, Tube City Media and Jason Tozier stepped up to the plate big time when the Daily News closed its doors. Jason's been working. They cover stories as well, just not in print. You can read them online. The downside of that are the individuals that still want the print media and don't go online as much. But Tube City has done a tremendous job for us covering our stories, getting obituaries out there when they can, and still has that local news source. I can't thank him enough for everything he's done up to this point. I look forward to what the future holds between both entities that we're going to have in here, between the Mon Valley Independent and Tube City Online. But Jason, I thank you. And it's my honor to introduce you Tube City Community Media, Jason Tozier.
This is very humbling to me, and it's also uncomfortable, because I would much rather be out there writing about you than standing up here and having someone write about me, and I don't care for that. I'll just be honest with you. Also, when I heard on Friday that this was going to be called the Tube City Center, I got really worried, because I thought maybe I had agreed to pay for the naming rights. And my board of directors, a couple of them are here, and they are going to be ticked. Finally, Jennifer Bertullo asked me if I would speak a little bit about the history of the Daily News and about the building, but then in the same breath she said, be brief. And she has really, you've known me for a long time, and have I ever been brief? No. I think like most things around here, it's going to be a while before we stop calling this the Daily News Building, because the paper was such an important part of our lives for 131 years. And any institution that lasts for 131 years was clearly doing something right. Of course, the name Tube City Center has nothing especially to do with Tube City Online. We took our name, and this building takes its name, Tube City, from McKeesport's heritage as a place for innovations in the steel industry, specifically in the manufacture of steel pipes and tubes, a tradition which, as the mayor noted, is being maintained today right over here at Dorabon and then up at CP Industries in Christie Park. I hope this building's reopening and its rebirth is going to kick off some new innovations here in McKeesport in digital media, in technology, in education, in communications, and in entrepreneurship. When I started Tube City Online back in 1996, it was literally just a hobby. I could never have imagined that 23 years later, the website would still be around, and the newspaper that was so much a part of all of our lives here would not be. And so at the end of 2015, when the Daily News closed, our board members and volunteers made the commitment, as the mayor generously mentioned, to do whatever we could to get news and information out to the McKeesport area, because information is vital to a community and it's vital to a democracy. And that brings me, and it's a happy occasion, but that brings me to one serious thought I want to leave for everybody. Right now, journalism is under attack from a couple of different directions. Some of the attacks are coming from political leaders who talk about fake news. But journalism is also under attack from big corporations. And I want to say something about that because I've heard a lot of people wondering, well, why did the Daily News close? The Daily News did not close because of any fault at Total Media or of any of the people who worked here. It closed because a couple of big companies, Facebook and Google among them, have sucked up all the advertising money. And they share only a tiny little amount with the publishers. Not even enough to pay the reporters, none of whom go into journalism for the money. As you, there was no profit motive. And that's a serious problem because when people are saying false things, the only thing that you can use to fight that is the truth. But journalism costs money, and if the advertisers aren't paying for it, then right now, nobody really knows what it is. There are, thankfully, some people working on that problem. One of whom is Andy Conti and his colleagues from Point Park, who are trying to study what they call the local media ecosystem, and they're trying to find ways to support and even grow journalism in the Pittsburgh area. And that's one of the innovations that I think the Daily News Building, the Tube City Center, is going to bring here to McKeesport. We also have folks like Nazareth and the Mon Valley Independent who have really put their own necks on the line to bring back a daily newspaper, first to Monessen and Charleroi, and now to Elizabeth and McKeesport. And I would be remiss if I did not mention the people who have supported us at Tube City Community Media, folks such as the G.C. Murphy Company Foundation, the E.R. Crawford Trust, Scott Finney from Finney Funeral Homes has been a steady supporter. A score of others, we have gotten checks for $10 from people at Tube City Community Media to keep local news alive here in McKeesport and White Oak and Duquesne, and we were very fortunate and blessed to add North Versailles Township last year. Along with those people like Nazareth and Andy who have not given up on journalism, we have a couple of people up here who have never ever given up on the McKeesport area, which is why we are here today. Folks such as Senator Brewster and Mayor Cherepko, who had the vision to want to get this building reopened and make the Daily News, or at least the Daily News Building, a community institution, once again, as it used to say on the flag. Now, as a smart aleck writer, I reserve the right to report things that Mayor Cherepko and Senator Brewster don't like tomorrow. But today, I want to sincerely thank them for inviting us to be a presence here and also congratulate them on getting this building reopened. Also,
one of our other tenants in here is Flashover. You might see Flashover Fire Apparatus, and that's Michelle and Ron Vizani. Michelle serves on council at Travosburg and was former mayor of Travosburg as well. We welcome them to the center. We do have some space available. So if there's anyone looking to relocate a business, be part of our vision here and what we're trying to do here in the city of McKeesport in the Valley at hand, please don't hesitate to contact my office. Our last speaker, and I do want to acknowledge, I know I threw out a lot of names, and I know we missed people. A lot of them were just giving me, or I wasn't texting. I had texts coming in, his names were going to, and that's why I was throwing them out there. I see Jennifer Helsinski as well from Bill Quartz's office, and I'm sure Allison Piccolina, and Betsy, and Tim Joyce all from the senator's office, and everyone else. But are there any other elected officials from other communities that we didn't? I see Don Costa. Thank you for coming. I introduced you earlier. Mayor Elizabeth. Claire? That's it. What is it? Franklin. All right, Lucky Tip. Lucky Price. Thank you. Brad, yep, I introduced your name earlier. Thank you. Welcome. Congratulations as well. So to Braddock Hills representing Glassport. You can see a lot of the communities, yes. North Braddock. So Claire in the back. So we have a lot of. When you talk about the trip and you talk about Mr. Scaife and his commitment to McKeesport and as generous as they've been, Matt Gruhl from the Allegheny Foundation, which was pretty much a lot referred to it as the Scaife Foundation. Their generosity as well. We just received a grant, and a very generous grant to help us with much needed improvements to the building. ADA elevators probably going to be the next thing we look at, other improvements to retrofit the office space for future tenants. I see Joe LaPretta, our president of the school board, as well here with us. So we're very grateful to Matthew and the Allegheny Foundation. They've done things so many times over the years, even prior to me being mayor, and I think when the center was the mayor, Boys and Girls Club and so many other entities that they've been involved with. So thank you for coming out as well. At this time, our final speaker, and then we're going to cut the ribbon and kick this thing off, is without question no stranger to any of you. It is my honor and privilege to introduce to you our County Executive, Rich Fitzgerald.
Thank you, Mayor. I want to congratulate you on this and on many things that are happening here in McKeesport in the Valley. Thank our senator, both senators actually, Senator Brewster and Senator Costa, have been such great partners. Secretary Davin, thank you for being here. We know it's an important day when we get the secretary from DCED here, and he's been a great partner for the community. Lieutenant Governor Fetterman, the Second Lady, Lieutenant Governor, obviously, John Fetterman being another guy from the Valley, as so many people in the community that are here. Representative Davis, Representative Quartz, former Representative Costa, so many folks who, County Councilman Macy, who work in the community and do a lot of good things. And how we do things in this community is by all of us working together. And the fact that, Steve and his team, the district attorney, is going to be here as partnering within county government, our office, all working together. We're at a very historic place where we are right now. I don't know if anybody mentioned it, I came in late, but President Kennedy came here in October of 1962. There might even be some people here that were little kids that I won't say anybody on the stage, none of them were, but when he came here, do you remember that? Yeah. Okay, Janet Brewster's 2 years to the day, I think, after another guy hit a famous home run in 1960 in Pittsburgh. I don't know if anybody would have showed up, even for President Kennedy had it been that day. But when you think about the importance of President Kennedy coming here during the midterms with Governor Lawrence at the time, and what this valley has meant to this country, this community, the region, the state, etc., bringing it back to that former glory and the former growth of what's going to happen, being part of the Great Allegheny Passage, which is, something none of us ever thought of years ago, that you can get on your bike here and ride all the way to Washington, D.C. On that trail. There's just so many things happening, and it's the partners up here that are making it happen. I want to thank, Trib Total Media and their team for investing here. Obviously, Tube City Center, it's a great name for it to be here, and the partnership at all levels. And I would also be remiss without mentioning Congressman Doyle and the great work he's done to help us here in the Valley. So at the federal level, the state level, the county level, and then all the local level, and you see the folks that are here today and the people in the community. McKeesport's best days are ahead of us, and we're going to continue to work together and do good things. Again, Mayor, congratulations, and keep up the good work. Thank you.
Just before we go down and do the ribbon cutting, I see Jim Brown's as part of my recreation director, but also a school board member locally, Cliff Pitts, I saw came in. I can't thank you enough for being here, and I hate getting into the names because you always forget people, but the one person that's been to my right, my assistant in my office, who I could tell you between everything that's involved with running the city, dealing with issues, being proactive with the good things going on as well, and getting this daily news building being ready for this opening. It was not an easy process, and unfortunately, Jennifer Vertola in my office I don't say it enough, but thank you. I know all too often. I try to thank you as often as I can, because at times I can probably sound very ungrateful. And it's not that, it's the stress of it. And Betsy in Senator Brewster's office, and the communication for making this happen, and Steve in Public Works, and just everyone. Thank you for coming out. Let's get this cut so we can enjoy the festivities afterward. Thank you, and God bless.